Hey everyone, Michelle Alexandria here, coming at you with the CinemaCon report. I know I was supposed to be recording CinemaCon every single day. I shot a lot of video footage. However, I was having a lot of internet issues, and it took me to today, the very fourth day, to actually get all this tech stuff working properly. So here I am with a quick recap of what happened at the Universal presentation. So far, CinemaCon has been fabulous. It's in this very stripped down format. It's been a good show. It's been a good show. Not a great CinemaCon, not a top five CinemaCon, but it's been good. And I'm just happy to be here. Actually, I'm just happy to be here. And surprised I'm here because I got the silly admit one press badge, so I'm able to get into everything. I shot a lot of footage over the course of the week. I'm doing a CinemaCon foodie blog where I shot a lot of the food and events that happened this week. That video will go up next week. I shot a room tour, Caesars. Don't worry about my messy room and my messy bed. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm here in Vegas. So yeah, I'm very happy. I'm just happy to be here. So let's talk a little bit about yesterday. Yesterday at CinemaCon on day 3 was an interesting day. It started off with the neon presentation. However, the scheduling for the neon presentation was very weird because it was supposed to go from 8 o'clock to 9 a.m. And what happened was I get there, I see some friends, I hang out with some friends at the neon presentation, but the first 25 minutes of that presentation was just some sponsor talking. And the problem was the Disney Shang-Chi movie was at 9:30, and I'm looking at the clock and it's like 8:30, and neon didn't even start yet. So I'm like, oh my god! And then I got to notice that they weren't going to have press seats or the working press room reserved for Shang-Chi. So I was like, oh crap, I got to run. So I left. I didn't actually make it to the Shang-Chi presentation, to the Neon presentation, because Shang-Chi was more important. And I'll talk more about that movie next week. I'll talk more about Shang-Chi next week. So I ran to Disney, saw Shang-Chi, amazing movie, really, really, really amazing movie. Loved it. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about it. That's the problem with CinemaCon. We see so much footage and so much exclusive stuff, and they're watching us like hawks. People like hawks. So we're not allowed to sit talking about a lot of stuff beyond basically general descriptions of what we saw, but we're not allowed to actually give impressions or any of that kind of stuff. So it's a fine line. So Shang-Chi was in the morning. Then we had a 5-hour block of time where basically there was really not much to do. So I walked the show floor. I shot like a 18-minute video on just walking the CinemaCon show floor. Again, this year was a little disappointing because the CinemaCon show floor is my absolutely favorite exhibit floor. It's like having one giant Costco where there's samples of every kind of food you could think of on the show floor. But this year there wasn't much. It was just some candy, but they didn't have all the good stuff. They didn't have the churro. They didn't have the churros going. They didn't even have the popcorn machines going. They didn't have the nachos out there, and I'm assuming that's because of COVID. They didn't have any of the hot food stuff going on the show floor, so that was a little disappointing. I do have to make a deal with one of those chair manufacturers because I want one of those CinemaCon chairs to be right there in my home. That would be nice. So we did that, and we went right into. So at 4:30 we had the Universal presentation. It's the Universal Focus Film presentation, which was really good because it was one of the only presentations this week where they weren't yelling at you about day and date and making up all these BS lies about why day and date is horrible and it's failure and it leads to piracy and blah 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 blah. I'm so sick of being lectured to. But they did mention over and over again about movies being made to be on a big screen. And I swear, that's the one thing I've always hated about CinemaCon, but for some reason this year bugged me even more. Because it was just a dogmatic attitude. You would think TV was the absolute worst. And you would think we were still in the 70s, where basically you had all these snobs saying, TV, ooh, those TV people, ooh. When it's like most of these directors are breaking down doors to make multi-$100 million deals with these streaming companies. And here they're at CinemaCon singing a totally different tune about how everything should be watched on the big screen, the biggest screen possible. And you all know my stance on seeing movies in the theater. I think it's a horrible experience. If you can actually watch a movie the way it's meant to be seen, as they show it at CinemaCon on that beautiful, glorious, gorgeous Coliseum screen, where you have the atmos perfect, and you had the projection perfect, and it's in 4K HDR, no black bars anywhere. That's how a movie's supposed to be seen. However, that's not what we're getting in our local markets. What we're getting in our local markets are black bars. We're getting out of focus films. We're getting bad audiences. We're getting bad movie food. It's just not a pleasant experience going to the movies anymore. It just isn't. It's not a pleasant experience to go out to the movies. And as you all know, I also like to talk about TVs in home theater, and I'm a believer in a home theater experience. I just am, especially when the big screen experience is just so terrible these days. I know that's not a popular thing to say here at CinemaCon, but I'm just speaking the truth. I mean, you just have local theaters have to do better. They have to do better and stop blaming the audience. Stop trying to bully people and guilt trip people into like going into your going into your theaters. Do better. That's all I want. Just do better. And I am a big supporter of the theaters. I've been paying for A-list for the last 2 years, even when I couldn't go to the theater. Even when it was closed, I was still paying for A-list. Even when there was nothing to be shown, I was still paying for A-list. I still pay for A-list because I want to support my local theater, even though my local AMCs, every single one of them, are just absolutely wretched, and I desperately want to cancel my A-list, but I keep it just because. And there's nothing I hate more than going to Adobe Cinema, sitting there and having to watch a 30 or 40 minute pre-show every single time, and then having my movies have black bars. I just hate it. I hate it with a fiery passion. But I also hate the 35-minute pre-show, even almost more than the black bars. When I'm ready to see a movie, I want to see a movie. I want to sit there at 1 p.m. or 7 p.m. I want the movie to just start. I don't want it to start at like 7:45, like 40 minutes later, after I've been bombarded with the same 7 to 8 trailers every single week. That's annoying, and that takes me out of the mood to see the movie. It just does. So anyway, back to Universal Pictures. So the Universal presentation was awesome, I thought. The only thing I didn't like about the Universal presentation is they did something kind of unique. They had all their stars come out on video and introduce their various movies, but they did it in such a way that kind of showed love and homage to the theater owners. So they just the stars talked about their favorite local theaters, the theaters that they grew up with, the ones that they loved, and then they actually cut to, the mainline workers at those theaters to actually introduce the movie. So, for example, Matthew McConaughey, why do you have to be a Republican, Matthew? Why do you have to try to run for governor? You're ruining everything all my love for you, Matthew. Just shut up. Now, I don't like telling celebrities they should shut up and not voice their political views. So I'm not going to be one of those type of people. But come on, Matthew. Come on, Matt. I love you, man. Come on, Matt. So Matthew came out, talked a little bit about his movie, and I'm going to go to my notes because I did take some notes here. So Matthew talked about his movie Sing 2. He threw it over to the Alamo Draft House. got to one of the guys at the Alamo Draft House, and I wish there was a local Alamo Draft House. I hear people wax nostalgic about that place. And I actually talked to the president of Alamo a couple of times. He's an awesome guy, and I would love to actually visit an Alamo, but I've never lived near one. They opened one in D.C. They opened two of them in D.C. right during my last year in D.C., but both of those Alamos were like 90 minutes away, and that's a 90-minute drive. If you factor in D.C. traffic, it probably take me 3 hours to get there, and I'm not doing that for a movie. But yeah, I've always wanted to experience the Alamo Draft House. Maybe when I move, if I ever decide to move out of Jacksonville, I'll move to Austin, Texas, or a place where there's an Alamo Draft House, and I'll move right next door to it, and that'll be my new movie shrine, the Alamo Draft House. Y'all think I'm kidding, but maybe I'm not, because I do work from home. I can live anywhere in the world that I want to. Thanks, COVID. So yeah, so that was the gimmick they were going with. So the celebrity would come out, they'll talk a little bit about their love of movies, movie theaters, the movie shrine, and then they'll throw it over to whatever their local theater was. So again, Matthew McConaughey did Alamo Draft House. Jamie Lee Curtis did some small theater in Idaho, and that Idaho guy was funny because he's like. And yeah, I don't like watch horror movies, and here's Jamie Lee Curtis and Halloween Kills, but I don't, but I'm just gonna turn my eyes away and actually not watch this trailer, but here it is. So that guy was great. So I really liked that for the first couple of times, but after a while, it was annoying. It got a little annoying and felt like artificial padding to me. However, Universal, they did bring 10 movies. Was it 8 movies or 10? I'm thinking it was 10 movies, and the head of Universal was like, we have these 10 movies, I think. 2 of them are sequels, and 8 original movies. So for all you people who constantly talk about how Hollywood does not do original movies, you are absolutely wrong. Hollywood does. If you look at your local theater listing, 90% of the things in the theater are original movies. It's not Hollywood's fault that you guys don't support those original movies, and you guys only want to talk about and go to the big tentpole sequels. That's not Hollywood's fault. That's your fault. For every tentpole movies you see, you all should commit to seeing at least one smaller movie or one original movie, even if it's a bit blockbuster. So anyway, I'm all over the place tonight or this morning. So back to Matthew McConaughey. He intros Sing 2. I never saw Sing 1. Honestly, I am not a fan of talking animal movies at all. If there's a talking animal in a movie, I have zero desire to see it. The only exception to that movie was I'm blanking on it. I'll think of it later, but. It was the one with the sloth. It's going to drive me nuts that I can't think of it because it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And how there's not a sequel to that Pixar movie amazes me because it came out 5 years ago. God, what was the name of it? It was about the Detective Bunny. And this is where I should have a chat open, but I'm scared of live chat. But it was, and I need to take this off. Because my air conditioner just went off. So it's the one about the Detective Bunny. Oh my God. And it had the sloth at the DMV. I love that movie, but I can't think of the name of it. So anyway, they did a 4-minute clip of Sing 2. And I have no interest in this movie. However, the old lion character is played by Bono. I will say that that sequence, the little porcupine girl singing "I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For," which is one of my all-time, probably top 5, 10 favorite songs ever, and she does it a cappella. It almost brings tears to my eyes the way she does it, because she's like, "And I still haven't found what I'm looking for." It looks amazing. I mean, that got me. I'm sorry, it got me. It makes me want to actually see this movie now because it got me. Because she does it a cappella for like a minute, and you see her eyes are so expressionless, and she's looking up at the audience, and the audience is really kind of like vibing to it, and it's really quiet. And they cut back to the Bono old lion character, and he's looking at his guitar, and he's wondering if he wants to go back on stage. And eventually, he starts playing the tune of "I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For." The do 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 do, and he slowly walks out, and next thing you know, they're singing duet a cappella in the entire crowd. It's like I still haven't found. It's so awesome. It's awesome. I love that trailer. And again, I hate talking animal movies. And I'm doing the same streak. I didn't properly prepare for this because I didn't know this would actually work. But yeah, that was absolutely awesome trailer. It was about 5 minutes, and then after that, we get Jamie Lee Curtis, the great Jamie Lee. I got to talk to her at the last CinemaCon. She handled that press room like a boss. So again, she talked about her local theater that's in Idaho, her favorite theater that she visits, which is a small family-owned theater in Idaho, and that's the guy who didn't like horror movies. So they introduced Halloween Kills, a brand new trailer, and we got to see a lot more footage. And I'm with that old codger. I generally don't like horror movies, and I always say that, but then I always end up loving every horror movies that I see. So should I just come out of the closet and be like, I love horror movies? But my initial reaction is always to say, I don't like horror movies. But I always end up loving them. And Halloween Kills looks amazing. The footage was just general footage, Michael killing people. It was just it was a trailer, only just a little bit longer. I don't know. I don't pay a close enough attention to trailers to know if there was new shots or anything that we saw. I think there was. But, and F you, Siri, what the hell are you doing, Siri? This is why I hate Max. I effing hate Siri, and they won't even let you turn the fucking thing off without it impacting other things. So yeah, F you, Siri. So anyway, back to Halloween Kills. It was a great trailer. I loved it. I'm so psyched and stoked for Halloween Kills. After Halloween Kills, Ethan Hawke comes out. And I love me some Ethan. I will always love Ethan Hawke. He's awesome. And it's actually pretty funny because he came out and talked a little bit about the director, Scott. I forgot his last name. I don't have my notes. But he talked about the reason why he did this movie was he wanted to work with the director again. And then he gave another story about how he actually is the one who gave the Blumhouse, the head of Blumhouse Pictures guy, his first, that they were partners back in the day. So that's pretty interesting. And Ethan Hawke also said he's never played a bad guy before. He actually had a rule of never playing a bad guy before. And if I think about it, I think it's true. I don't think he's ever played a bad guy. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So the movie he introduced was the Black Phone. I never heard of this movie, and wow. The Black Phone is a horror movie where Ethan Hawke plays a child killer called the Snatcher. Basically, what he does is he snatches kids off the streets, he locks them in a basement, and he basically kills them. It's kind of a brutal premise, but they twist it a little bit because in the room there's a black phone on the wall, and it's not connected to anything. And eventually, the phone starts ringing, and it's basically all the kids that the Snatcher has killed over the years are trying to help the latest kid escape the room. So they're telling him different ways he could get out. And I'm sitting there thinking, if all those kids knew all of these things, why didn't they escape? why exactly didn't they escape? But they didn't. And so I'm assuming they're going to end up showing different things that he could try, and maybe if he strings enough of them together, he could escape at the end. And meanwhile, on the outside, there's this little girl who seems to have some kind of psychic connection to this room and this kid, and she's trying to direct the authorities, help the authorities find the missing kid. So there's a lot going on with this movie. I get the sense that there's going to be a twist at the end. I just get that sense. I won't tell you what the twist is based on what I saw in the trailer, but it almost feels like they're telegraphing it a little bit. But yeah, the black phone looks amazing. They showed us about 4 minutes of that footage, and yeah, I loved it. After the black phone, Lupita Longo came out, and who doesn't love them some Lupita Longo? And her favorite theater was actually in Atlanta, Georgia. I was kind of hoping someone would mention a theater in Jacksonville or DC, because you're like, yeah, they're mentioning theaters. I want my local theater to be mentioned. And basically, they introduced the trailer for 355. Now, I think this movie was supposed to come out like 2 years ago, but unfortunately it got delayed because the black for our black plague, COVID. So it's coming out next January, and basically it's a spy thriller with 5 super spies. It has Jessica Chastain, Lupita Longo, and again, I don't have the full cast list in front of me, but it's a pretty stacked cast. Oh God, I'm blanking on a lot of stuff. I promise when I do more of these later on, I'll have the full cast listings for you guys. I don't know how people could be in CinemaCon, watch the footage, and then typing all this stuff up really fast. I can't do that. I could barely get the name out or get the name typed up. I'm not that professional, people. So anyway, it's the 355. There are 5 super spies from rival countries, and they have to come to someone named Bimpin something, and they have to come together. What is her name? She's in Eternals. She was Annoy in the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Oh, I'm blanking on her name. I'm killing myself here. I'm gonna go like myself after this after I'm done with this video. But basically, there are 5 female super spies from different countries, including Germany, America, Europe, Colombia, and somewhere else. And basically, they all have to team up together to stop this crazy Chinese person or a crazy person who's trying to destroy the world. But they have to do it all off books, and they have to figure out how to work together because they're all super spies and assassins from rival agencies. One would assume that they're also enemies of each other. There's actually a scene in the movie where Lupita gets everyone into a room and everyone whips out their guns at each other. And it's directed by the same guy who did X-Men Dark Phoenix. So you can take that for what you will. I love the X-Men franchise. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet. I still have to watch that at some point. I'm sure I'll probably end up loving it, even though everyone hates it. So yeah, 355, that's coming out in January. The trailer, they showed us 4 or 5 minutes of that. And also, Sebastian Stan's in it. So this trailer had a lot of Sebastian Stan in it doing his gun action pew-pews. So that was pretty awesome. I love that trailer. That was a great trailer. Then J-Lo came out, and she talked a little bit about how she hasn't sung in a movie in quite a while, and how this character is a lot like her in real life. So the movie is called Marry Me. And I know a lot of people will roll their eyes at it, but I am a sucker for a rom-com. I love rom-coms. I don't think they make enough of them in Hollywood anymore. So I love a good rom-com, and I like J-Lo rom-coms. Why not? In this one, she plays the premise of this is stupid as heck. Is stupid as heck. So in this one, J-Lo is a superstar singer. She's basically playing herself. She's a superstar singer, and she's in love with another superstar singer, and they come up with this scheme where they're going to get married live at a show and stream it to like 30 million people on the internet, because that's always your hook these days in these movies. You have to mention the internet, and you have to mention you're streaming something live. So yeah, she's a female pop superstar, and she's in love with another male pop superstar, and they want to do a publicity stunt where they actually get married live on stage, and she has a hit song called "Marry Me," so that's why they're doing this. Right before she's about to go out on stage to get married, she discovers the guy is cheating on her. So instead of doing what any sane person would do, which is kind of either say the wedding's off, she can't cancel the concert, I guess. But instead of saying the wedding's off, because everyone in the arena knows the guy was cheating because it's all over the internet, and everyone has their phone out, and they're watching it, and so they all know there's no wedding's gonna happen. But she's out there, and she's like, you know what? Screw it. And Owen Wilson's there because his daughters, his two daughters. He has an older daughter, who looks like she's 20 something, and a teenager. They drag him to the concert, and they carry a sign called "Marry Me," and they hand it to their father. And Owen Wilson, who doesn't want to be there, has no idea what the hell's going on. He just has his sign called "Marry Me." He's holding a sign called "Marry Me." Jennifer Lopez sees it, and she just says, "Yes." And everyone's like, and the camera swings over straight to Owen Wilson. And why is he the only guy there who's in that entire audience who's carrying a sign called saying "Marry Me"? That makes no sense to me. You would think there would be hundreds of signs for people saying "Marry Me," but it was just Owen Wilson in the entire audience that with this giant sign that says "Marry Me." So his daughters push him up to the stage. He gets up on the stage, and they cut to the wedding, and he's like, "I do." And you're like, you don't even know this woman. Why would you do this? It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no chemistry between them in the few minutes they showed. But I am a sucker for this stuff. I'm a romantic at heart, so I'm a sucker for this stuff. I will watch it, and I will love it. So yeah, that's "Marry Me." Then Jake Gyllenhaal comes out. I love me some Jake G. I love him. And he talks about Michael Bay's new movie, The Ambulance. And I don't know why I tried to say that like Arnold, but Ambulance. And hey, I love anything Michael Bay, except the Transformers movies. I hate those movies, all of them. But Ambulance looks really good. It's basically about Jake Gyllenhaal is a master thief and a successful thief, and he has a half brother who's a family man, ex-military person, down on his luck, and he comes to his brother for a loan and a favor. I forgot who. I don't know the guy who plays the brother. I know he's probably someone sort of semi-famous right now. And Jake convinces his brother to do one job for him. I'm like, yeah, that's a great brother. And of course, he foreshadows by saying it's an easy job. You could get $32 million. You could get $32 million, and you never have to worry about money again. Famous, and I'm your brother. I've always gotten you out of stuff. Don't worry about it. Famous last words. So they go rob a bank, and of course, some rando cop shows up wanting to withdraw probably $5 from his bank account. And instead of turning the cop away so the cop won't get suspicious, they let the cop into the bank, and the entire bank robbery goes completely off kilter at that point. Jake's brother shoots him, and they put him in an ambulance, and there's a big shootout, and they jump onto the ambulance, and basically the rest of the movie is a chase movie where all the LAPD is after these guys, and there's no happy ending here. And I kept thinking that I want a happy ending, at least for the family man guy, He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be involved in all of that kind of stuff. But isn't that always the way? So there's no happy ending here. The action looked great. It's Michael Bay. What's not to love? I think it's going to be great. The trailer was a little bit pedestrian and by the numbers, but it's Michael Bay. I'm going to love it. And it's called The Ambulance, and that's coming out when? That's coming out in February. And then my man Anthony Ramos came out. In the Heights, Anthony Ramos. I love that guy. Hamilton, Anthony Ramos. He said he's in a brand new sci-fi movie called, I forgot the name of it, but they didn't have any footage for it because it was too early. But he did talk about his new animated movie called The Bad Guys. And again, these are talking animals. I don't like talking animal movies or talking animal anything. But the movie look cute. They're basically bad guys who want to try to do good. That's the premise. It looked cute. It looked cute. It looked cute. That's about all I can say. And then, Dear Evan Hansen. My God, tears. Dear Evan. It's kind of amazing because Dear Evan Hansen started off as a workshop production that was, I think, at Arena Stage or maybe the Kennedy Center in D.C. It started his life in D.C. and it went to Broadway. And I never got a chance to see it in D.C. I'm kicking myself now. So I never got a chance to see this when it was in his workshop format in D.C. And I never had an interest in seeing it on Broadway either. But after I saw the first trailer, I fell in love with this, and I desperately want to see this. However, I'm in a pickle, people. I'm in a pickle. I have season tickets for my local Broadway, season pass thing. Basically front row seats. The seat in Dear Evan Hansen is part of my package. It's coming in November. The movie comes out September 24th. And I want to experience Dear Evan Hansen for the first time live. The real big screen. Not that fake big screen. I'm talking live. Live in the theater is how I want to experience this first. I don't want to see the movie before I see the play. But the movie comes out September 24th. And man, the movie looks amazing. They did the first 2-minute trailer sucked me in, but they did a 5-minute trailer last night where they basically laid out the entire movie, the entire plot, which I kind of hate normally, but they did the full version of that song that they did the short condensed version of in the trailer, and I think the song is called Tap 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 maybe or something like that. I don't know because again, I want to wait until I see it live. I am a musical nerd. I love going to Broadway shows. I normally do like an entire weekend or week dedicated to just seeing Broadway productions on Broadway. And I haven't had a Broadway week in 2 years. I'm gonna have to schedule one for next year. You gotta have so many moving parts to make for a perfect Broadway week. So I may end up doing that and doing an entire Broadway week in a week. Little known fact, when I was living in New York, I covered Broadway too. So if you go to my site, I reviewed a bunch of Broadway productions, and I was in D.C., one of the meccas for Broadway musicals. So yeah, I had the Kennedy Center, I had National Theater, I had Arena Stage. So I had a bunch of musicals I could see every fall. But yeah, the footage for Dear Evan Hansen, I hope they release that. It was 5 minutes of it. It's coming out September 24th, so I don't see a reason why they wouldn't release it. They'll really further drive home the point of this movie. It looks like it's going to hit you in all the right spots and make you cry and everything else. But I'm not going to see it. I probably will not see this in a theater. I probably won't do a movie review of it because, again, I don't want to experience this as a Broadway play first. I want to experience it as a Broadway play and then come and watch the movie afterwards. I don't want to do the reverse. I don't want to watch it on the big screen and then watch the movie, the musical. I've never seen the musical, so I want to be surprised, shocked, and get all the feels and hear all the music for the first time in a Broadway live theatrical setting. That's what I want to do. I'm not going to see this movie at all. Not because I desperately don't want to, but I'm going to watch this in a theater first. In a, musical theater setting first. But dear Evan Hansen, I think this is one of my highlights of the entire week. I'm going to do a top 10 countdown this weekend. My top 10 favorite trailers and things that I saw at CinemaCon. So I'll do that probably Sunday. I get Sunday afternoon sometime. But this would definitely be in my top 5. I love this clip so very much. And then after that, Lisa Burnell, the president of featured domestic distribution for Focus Features, came out, and they had 5 new original movies to show. First, we got Edgar Wright, the great Edgar Wright, who I actually interviewed a couple of times. And he's an awesome guy, and I love Edgar Wright. He did. They did 3 minutes of Last Night in Soho, yet another new trailer with additional footage. It gave us the story this time, and I gotta say, wow. I didn't watch the first trailer. I'll start there. I didn't watch the first trailer that was released a month or so ago. Because honestly, I don't watch any trailers until I can see it at CinemaCon or I see it on the big screen. I don't like watching trailers on my TV or anything. I like to see it on the big screen. And that makes me a hypocrite because I agree with everyone at CinemaCon. I like watching stuff on the biggest screen possible, which is why I obsess over my home theater setup. I'm all about that big screen experience. I just want a better quality experience to get me out of my house. That's all. I don't think that's too much to ask for. So Last Night in Soho is really interesting. It stars Matt Smith, Anatella Joy, I believe. And basically, it's about a woman. It's about a woman, I think, in present day London, who has some kind of strange connection to a woman who was murdered in the 1960s London, and she's dreaming about this murder, and she's trying to solve the mystery of who killed this woman, and I think she knows who killed this woman, but she's trying to prove it. And I think Matt Smith's character is probably like an aristocrat or something, and he's the one who killed her and probably killed a whole lot of other people, and it's about trying to prove it and figure out what this weird connection is. So it's kind of like a weird, I don't know if it was a horror or just a supernatural mystery. There's a weird vibe to it, and I'm digging it. I'm digging the vibe of this movie, and I'm very curious about it. Again, I think this will be probably one of my will make my top 10 trailers of CinemaCon. Is Last Night in Soho, because it was just weird enough where I'm like, okay, I have no idea what's going on, but it looks amazing. It's Edgar Wright. I love me some Edgar Wright. So I'm all down for this movie. So I'm very curious about it. Then Kenneth Branagh, the great Kenneth Branagh, came out and he showed us Belfast. I was a little distracted trying to type up the stuff on my. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little distracted trying to type up stuff on my phone. So I was half paying attention to the Belfast trailer, and it was so confusing. I can't even begin to say what was going on in that. I think it was more of a concept of what was going on, and it's going to be a black and white movie. I think it's going to be pure Oscar bait for next year, or I don't even know if it's coming out. I think it's next year. It looks like it's pure Oscar bait. It's black and white. A lot of stuff is happening. There's a kid in it. I don't know, but it looked interesting. Then Robert Eggers came out and he talked a little bit about The Northman with Ethan Hawke, Anatella Joy. When did Anatella Joy become so like Anatella Joy? I mean, she's in everything, and she's in danger of becoming overexposed. But I think she works because she has such a generic look about her. There's nothing unique about her. I don't understand her appeal at all, other than the fact that she's plain. And I don't say plain as a bad thing. I'm saying plain in terms of, I guess she could be a chameleon and play any kind of role, and you never go, oh wow, that's Anna Taylor Joy, or like you do Will Smith or something. There's just nothing unique about Anna Taylor Joy where where I recognize her. I guess is the proper phrase. It's like, oh yeah, that's Anna Taylor Joy, I guess. And I only know because her name pops up and it's like Anna Taylor Joy. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's Anna Taylor Joy. And she's in everything. And it's annoying. And Nicole Kidman's also in this. And it's a movie about it's some weird movie about Vikings. That's all I know. That's all I can say. It's some weird movie about Vikings. And they're running around in loincloth doing Viking stuff. I don't know what the plot. Oh, the plot is a standard revenge plot. That much I got. It's a revenge plot. You know, someone kills someone's father, they grow up, they try to kill other people. That's about all I got out of that trailer. It looks interesting. I don't know if it's a movie I would want to run out and see. I didn't like that trailer at all. It didn't really tell me anything. It felt a little by the number seeds. But they showed us like 4 minutes, and I will say it looked great. And it's pretty amazing considering the fact that Robert Eggers actually just shot it a few weeks ago, and he prepared his special footage for the CinemaCon crowd, and it was so nice because it came out and he was like, and yeah, I'm sorry for the rough nature of this and all this other stuff, but I really wanted to get you guys something, so here it is, and you're sitting there thinking, and why does this guy keep trying to call me? It's annoying. And you're sitting there thinking, wow, and you're sitting there thinking, wow. And I'm sorry, I got distracted by this idiot trying to call me. So you're sitting there thinking, oh, okay. The footage looks great, even in its rough state. It's hard to believe it's rough footage. But I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't necessarily care what was going on. So it wasn't one of my favorite trailers of the week. It really wasn't. But I'll see it when it comes to video. I'm not going to the movie theaters. Well, I may go see it. I do have the A-list. But I don't know. If I had a better local theater, I would say, of course, I would run out and see this in the theater. But like I said, I don't like my local theater at all. So yeah, I can wait and watch it on my OLED when it's available. And then after that, Downtown Abbey 2. We got a sneak peek at Downtown Abbey 2, which is coming out in March. I don't understand the popularity of this show. I have tried to watch the pilot so many different times. I actually own the entire season on iTunes because it was on sale for like $30 last year. So I went ahead and bought it. But I've never been able to make it past the pilot. It is so boring to me. I normally turn it off after like 20 minutes. I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's not. And you would think I would love it because it is my type of thing. I love petticoat shows, and I love these kind of old time shows, and with rich people and the beauty and the grandeur of everything. This is the type of show you would think I would love, but I don't know. I feel like I have to sit down one day, force myself to watch the first 3 episodes, and force myself to make it past the pilot. And I'm going to try to do that soon. But the one thing that annoyed the heck out of me, again, was the director of Downtown Abbey talking about how this movie is made for the big screen, and you have to sit in the theater, and all this other stuff. And again, I had the same reaction to that comment as the guy who talked about the Many Saints of Newark. I'm like, these are effing TV shows. These movies wouldn't have existed if not for the success of the TV shows. Come on, don't fool yourself. Get off your high horse. Come and live in the real world with the rest of us. Downtown Abbey is a lush, beautiful TV show. It's not something that has to be seen and experienced on the big screen. It just isn't. Yeah, it's going to look amazing. You're going to have all the wide vista shots, and it's going to look glorious and all this other stuff. But don't kid yourself. This is a TV show projected to the big screen. Yes, it's made for the big screen, but it's still a TV show. And I hate this attitude that's on display at CinemaCon where people act like TV shows. I mean, we're still in the Gilligan's Island days, TV shows. I mean, a lot of TV shows today's TV shows are a hell of a lot better than movies. And a lot of these TV shows made today have like $200 million budgets. So don't act like the movie theater is the only place where you can experience quality. It just isn't. And don't tell me a movie that's only popular because it was a TV show first suddenly can only be experienced in a movie theater. When at its core, Downtown Abbey and the Many Saints of Newark, the prequel to The Sopranos, is a TV show. That's it. Sermon over. So after that Downtown Abbey 2 footage, we the president of Focus Films came back out, and she was like, and now we have one more special thing to show you, and it was Jurassic World Dominion. And it was a nice 5-minute clip. Basically, most of it was behind the scenes footage from like when Steven Spielberg was filming the first Jurassic World, and we saw the original cast and everything back in those days. Then they cut to the current cast, and then one thing I did not know was that the big trifecta from the original movies are actually going to be in Jurassic World Dominion. So we're going to have Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and the other guy. I always forget the other guy's name. But they're all three are coming back for Jurassic World Dominion. So that's awesome. So there's actually a shot. So in brief footage we actually see the original cast and the new cast all on screen together. And I was like, yeah, that's actually really darn cool. So we saw that. We see a couple of clips of the dinos like actually out in the world doing dino stuff, and then running away from dinos out in the real world. And there's a funny kind of James Bond-ish kind of sequence on a motorcycle. I won't give away. But yeah, it ended with Jurassic World Dominion. So I would actually give Universal's presentation a solid B. They brought a lot of new movies that I've never heard of to the things. It was genuinely surprising to me. They didn't lecture. They didn't lecture anyone. They just kind of showed us movies, and they kept their hypocrisy to a minimum. They didn't go all in on the hypocrisy about the day and date stuff. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the Universal presentation tremendously. So thank you all for watching this kind of feeble recap of CinemaCon Day 3. I'm going to do Day 4 later this afternoon. Then I figure out a way to do this, and I got my internet to work. And today is going to be a very packed day because we have both Paramount. We have Paramount Pictures, which will be a 90-minute thing. I'm sure we'll get like a video from Tom Cruise, and I fully expect to see a lot of footage from. I fully expect to see some footage from Mission Impossible. I expect to see footage from Mission Impossible. Definitely expect to see more footage from Top Gun, and I don't know what else Warner Brothers has. And then Lionsgate has their presentation to close the week out, and spread John Wick footage. And it's kind of in a touch because the people from Lionsgate actually reached out to me, and they're actually going to reserve a seat for me. So that's nice. I wish more studios reserve seats, but it's nice that CinemaCon actually has a working press room, press session upstairs. Although the one thing I hate about the working press session is it's a working press session, so people have their computers turned on and they're typing away and all this other stuff. So it's a little distracting. That kind of sucks. But I'm right there with them. I'm doing the same stuff. But yeah. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at Eclipse Magazine if you really want to see what I've been thinking about CinemaCon. Other videos coming up from CinemaCon is I gotta go back. I did shoot video footage day 1, 2, 3 CinemaCon. I just didn't post it or edit it. I also shot footage walking around Caesar's Palace. I shot footage my hotel room. I also flew United. I flew first class for the very first time on Sunday on United Airlines, and it was not a good experience. So I'm going to edit that footage when I get back. So that video is going to come out next week. You're going to see me raw. I don't like to be negative, but that's going to be a negative video. And actually, I did something weird because I'm going to fly American Airlines first class coming back. And I hear American Airlines first class is amazing. So I want to compare and contrast the two. And I have a free day tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on my free day. I found out in Vegas, you can actually fly a jet plane for $500. And if I can get it in, I'm seriously considering doing that experience. I mean, come on, you can fly a jet plane. You can kind of do your loop-de-loops, your barrel rolls. Go fast. You can put some G's. And they let you control the plane. So, yeah, I am seriously considering doing that. This is where I hate traveling alone. Because if left to my own devices, I'm kind of like, ew, I don't necessarily like roller coasters. Do I really want to do this? I'm very scared to do it. But I'm also like, this may be my new bucket list. I don't believe in bucket lists, so if I see something I want to do, I just do it. But I need a friend here to kind of dare me, to add me on to do this. But yeah, if I'm going to go to their website in a few minutes and see if I actually can get a slot. And here's the weird thing about CinemaCon today. There's no breakfast. Well, there is a breakfast, but the breakfast is from 9 to 10. And again, it's another buffet. They've been going. It's weird. It really is weird that every meal here at CinemaCon this week has been a buffet meal. No sit-down meals. And the buffets have been, while they look amazing on video, they've been tasting horrible. The food's all been cold and everything. So they haven't really done a good job on the buffet in the food situation like they normally do. Like normally CinemaCon food is like just off the hook, but this week it just hasn't been. Something's been off about it. And again, I don't know if that's going to be blamed on COVID too. I'm kind of tired of like bad service being blamed on COVID. I mean, just own it at some point. And it's not the CinemaCon crew's fault. It's Caesar's fault because they're the ones preparing all the food. I love the effort and the idea of everything, but the execution from a Caesar Palace standpoint has been terrible. But I may do an actual review of my stay at Caesar Palace in addition to my video walkthroughs of Caesar Palace. I gotta say, very disappointed stay at Caesar's, but I'm loving the room now. After my rough first day, I'm loving the room. I sat in that jacuzzi for like a half hour last night, and I could not move when I got out. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Look for the videos from Paramount and Focus Films or Lionsgate later today or tomorrow. I'm going to try to get it up today before I lose my internet, my press room internet, because I'm assuming they're going to turn off the press room internet tomorrow because the show's over. There's no reason for them to have the press room internet access. So I'm hoping to get that done tomorrow or by midnight tonight before they fully shut it off. And I have to go back to trying to pay for crappy hotel internet. So anyway, talk to you guys later. Bye. I wish I knew how to do thumbnails and do awesome thumbnails, but I don't know how to do that. But